Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Profit CRM Learning Program. My name is Warren Stokes, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Avidian Technologies. Thank you for joining today. This webinar is being recorded. You can access it later. You'll all get an email. In fact, anyone that registered will get an email with the link to that recording. Feel free to share that with your colleagues and friends. First order of business is to make an exciting announcement here. As part of a recent exciting acquisition and merger, Profit CRM has been renamed and rebranded as Avid CRM. Same product, same good service, different name. And as you will see as we go through the program today, we have a lot of new capabilities that we're adding. And in keeping with our existing philosophy and adding to it a little bit, you know, we want to be the go-to source for a collaborative solution that maximizes your productivity, minimizes your costs, and helps simplify your workflow. And I hope you will agree with me as we go through this that we're adding to that significantly. So look for some major changes on our website, along with some new products, some of which we're going to talk about today. So I like to say that CRM is a journey, and we're delighted that you're on this journey with us. We are committed to helping you become successful. And my main point is this isn't just a one-time thing. You know, the more you learn, the more you earn, and the more you want to learn, sort of thing. So again, welcome to the journey. I'm glad you're on it with us. Today's topics include quite a few things, but I wanted to really get in to provide some hopefully very useful tools and techniques for helping you manage your contacts and your sales pipeline, and in general your data a lot more effectively, literally turbocharge it. I think if you start following some of these guidelines, that you're going to find that you have a lot more success with managing your CRM data and your CRM application in general. We're going to be talking about really how to create highly targeted lists using some advanced filtering techniques. Get rid of that thing. The Windows thing popped up. Sorry about that. Yeah, but using advanced filtering, maybe some of you have used it, but what I've found is a lot of people aren't really taking the full advantage of all the ways that you can filter your data. We're going to talk about the Profit Instance Following function, which really helps you keep on top of things. Another topic we haven't covered much is where to find data that's missing. How do you find it? What do you do with that? And how important is that? Something I've mentioned before that's always worth revisiting is using the next step function. And we have, as you may know, and I'm going to get into it in a little more detail today, we have a new AI extension that does a whole bunch of things, including helping you enhance your existing contact data, find new contacts, do a lot of cool things. So we're going to talk about that. And that's we're partnered with a company called KnowledgeNet.ai, and it's been great, super popular addition to our tools. And Campaign Manager, which is kind of if you think about all the things you do with Profit, one of the outcomes might be that you really want to be more effective at reaching out to your customers, your partners, your prospects, and things like that. And extremely exciting is we have one of the new products that we will now be offering is a document management product called Avid DocuWorks. So I'll share a little bit more on that right now, and then I'll give you a brief demo of it. And by the way, we are going to do a targeted webinar very near future on the DocuWorks, Avid DocuWorks product. So basically think of it as an ultra secure document management system that will be living in the same environment that you all live in now, right, in Windows and Office and Outlook. It's accessible through the web, and we'll have various integration points throughout. But one of the key things is it's always important with any application is to make it easy to onboard a new client. In this case, it was remarkably easy. I specifically asked for no training, so I just jumped on it and started using it and found it to be very intuitive. But one of the basic concepts is getting instant access to files and folders, but having them be available through a very tight set of securities and permission levels. A really cool feature that I like is sending large files securely via email. There's alternatives to that, which you can just drag and drop files right into someone's desktop in a very secure manner, above military grade. And I'm going to have I'm planning on having the founder and CTO, Chief Technology Officer of the company that we're partnered with, but which, by the way, is called MyTrueCloud. You can feel free to look them up. But I will have the CTO of MyTrueCloud on with us in an upcoming webinar to really get deeper into the document management product line that we're launching here. And again, it's called Avid DocuWorks. You can see a couple of screenshots here, but a few of the other points that I wanted to make about the new DocuWorks document management platform is that it has all kinds of security, but it's also something that you can change and tailor to your company's needs. Some companies have more needs for advanced security than others, so we're sensitive to that. And the point is that you can kind of set your own levels of security, and as you'll see in a moment, you're going to see it gets very, very granular and some really, really powerful functions. But another aspect of the Avid DocuWorks document management platform is just finding stuff easily. It uses advanced document meta tagging and indexing so that you can find documents quickly that are relevant to what you're looking for. The forensic monitoring of all document changes, a great kind of what you'd call an audit trail of anything that's happened with the documents, getting notifications of document changes, and a very important thing, which I find just really, really almost revolutionary, is how granular you can set the permissions on a document by document basis or a group basis or user basis. But if you look here, you can even set for whether someone has the ability to, use a USB drive to copy it or print it or rename it, all kinds of stuff like that are, the more you're in an industry that requires this sort of thing, sometimes it's in like accounting and other fields, financial services, it becomes it becomes a legal requirement. So in any event, we're gonna go through that, and then we're going to get right into that detailed of the kind of how to turbocharge your contact management with Profit. So let's go ahead and get started. I will start with a brief demo of DocuWorks. First thing I wanted to point out is that you'll be able to access it through a folder or various access points. But as you're familiar with the Profit folders, we plan on having one for the document manager. But when you're logged into the Avid DocuWorks, you'll see first thing you'll see is a dashboard. The dashboard itself, you can kind of move things around, customize them. You can add these little dashlets, they're called. And it's just a kind of a nice dashboard, but where you'll spend a lot of time, I think, is in your documents. So there's all sorts of permission levels and features. I won't get into them all today, but let's go into a folder here called Sales Collateral, and I'll just show you a few of the really high level features of this. And I think you'll see how this is starting to become very applicable to a lot of our CRM users. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is this is basically an alternative to other document management platforms like SharePoint, Dropbox, and there's many of them out on the market. But what this will be doing is putting it all into the platform, the collaborative platform with your CRM. But let's take a look at some of the things we can do. Well, first of all, we can look at a document here, and I'll just look at a proposal document. I can view it if we want. You can go in and view the document. Remember all those permissions as to whether or not you can edit it, change it, export it, print it, things like that. But here's the document. In this case, it's a proposal template document. So all of these things are part of the on the left, you'll see all these different things that you can do. You can easily go forward and back. One of the things you can do, it's very powerful, is to check out a document. What that means is when a document is checked out, it's locked for other users. You're probably familiar with using various things like Google Docs and whatnot. It's kind of hard to see, at any given time, know who's done what to the document. And this gives you not only the ability to kind of lock it while you're editing it or modifying it or updating it, through the checkout function, but it also has a forensic trail of forensic, it sounds like a crime, but it's an audit trail, let's call it, of what's happened with the document, and we'll see some of that. So you can also do things like, obvious things like copy, delete, and stuff, but you can have a discussion thread about the document, and this would give you the ability to see, put in comments of various sorts. You can view the comments that are already there. You can kind of follow all the comments about the document. So it really adds a lot of robustness to the whole idea of what's going on with document. You can track things like revision levels and all sorts of stuff here. You can archive the documents. You can see the version history. As I mentioned, you can set and modify permissions, and this is where we talked about whether somebody is allowed to change even a folder name or print the document or put it on a USB drive or things like that. Very granular permissions. If I go in there, you can see that the permissions can also be set not just on a user basis, which would be obvious, but also on a group basis, so that you can have groups of people that share the same permissions. Just makes the management of this all the easier. So again, this is a new function that we're offering. Glad to provide things like pricing and just other details about all of this. So feel free to reach out to me maybe after the webinar if you have an interest in that and you want to take a look at it. We'd be glad to help with that. So that's a little bit on the DocuWorks side. So let's talk a little bit more about this whole how to make your contact and sales pipeline functionality just a lot more powerful. And I just wanted to remind everybody that one of the reasons we talk often about the contact data is that it's essential it flows through your entire CRM program and it's crucial to your business. And so the better that you manage your contacts, the better data you put in your contacts, the better it's going to be for everyone. And I use the term contact data taxonomy. I know it's kind of a fancy word. It just means adds more ability to slice and dice, sort and filter, categorize, and classify your contacts for different purposes. And I just want to emphasize that contact data itself is one of the most valuable assets of your company. And of course, Profit captures and centralizes your contacts from all your devices, puts them in the central database. People move on. Somebody wins the lottery, somebody retires. Well, all that contact and all the history is all still there. So I'm just reemphasizing the importance of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So let's jump right into creating what I call highly targeted lists or highly targeted views. And then we'll talk about how to use the following function and some other things. So right now, we're just going to go into to Profit, and we're going to let's go into Contact Manager. You're all familiar with the navigation by now. If you're real new to Profit, I will just point out that these folders are how you access Profit CRM. Those folders by default will show up in your folder list somewhere. What you can do with any folder is you can just right click and add them to favorites, which moves them up by your inbox here. And from there, you can also move them around. Like I can drag these folders around a little bit if I want. But I'm going to go into Contact Manager, and we're going to talk about how to effectively make your contact management more effective here. So a few basic things to review for people, and I'll move through this quickly because many of you probably already have a pretty good grasp on this, but you can choose columns that you want in any view. And by the way, a view are just these named views, or think of them as lists that are sorted or filtered by different criteria. You can choose columns by just right clicking here and select choose columns. That brings up all the available columns. You move them to the box on the right, they show up. You move them up and down, that moves them to the left or right. Once you make changes in your views, remember you might want to save those so that if you navigate out of that view and back into it, you have those changes saved. But I wanted to specifically drill into some advanced filtering. One type of advanced filtering is just adding layers of filtering. This view already has a couple of filters on it. So all of these contacts are in Hollywood, California. And in fact, they're all in zip code 90210. And by the way, you can drag and drop these columns if you want, just so you can have them clustered or close to each other. So again, this view already has some filters added. Now, to edit, I'm going to save that, by the way, because I like that zip code there. So we're going to right click, save changes to view. That way, when I drag the zip code over, it's going to stay there. But anyway, another useful little button here is the edit this view button, a little orange pencil type of an icon. You can do a lot of things like how you want to select them by your own contacts, by user assignment and various things, but I'm going to go right into additional filtering. So as I mentioned, this view already this list or view already has 3 filters set. They're all they all are in California, City of Hollywood, and zip code 90210. To add another filter, I just click on the box there type in the name of the field and add the filter. But remember too that you have the ability to set the filters as all conditions are true. We call that an AND filter, or any condition is true. That's called an OR filter. And I will show you an example of that here in just a moment. But again, this view already has those three filters set, but I could add another filter. Perhaps maybe I want to look at all of my current clients, and when I click on one of these little funnel icons, it brings up your filter box, just like Excel. That's intentional because people understand how that works. And maybe I just want to see all my current clients that are in Hollywood, California 90210. So I'm just going to add a fourth filter, click OK. Now I've filtered it. You can see all of those are current clients. So I might want to give this a name. So I could say save view as. That's one of the options here. So I could hover over tools and say save view as, and I would give it a name. So what I would call this one would be Hollywood current clients, right? Great, I've got that view already. So you can now toggle between views. If you want to clear a filter, you just select the filter icon and do clear filter, by the way. Very powerful, because as we move through the progression of what we're doing here, the question becomes, okay, this is cool. I get what we're doing here, but now what about the so what? Well, the so what is by organizing your contacts by different criteria and combinations of criteria, you can make a lot more effective outreach, whether it's just making outbound calls to all your current clients in Hollywood, California that are CEOs or what have you. And by the way, for those of you who haven't used this a lot, you can always just put in some notes, and on the lower right, are the activity entries that your company has defined. These are customizable. Maybe you made a phone call, put in some notes, or perhaps you just want to put in a note that you left a voicemail, or that you did something like a quote follow-up. So those predefined notes, just parenthetically, are right there for you to add a quick activity tracking type. But the main thing I'm getting at here is organizing your data and learning how to filter it effectively. Hey, let's do something fun, which I haven't shown a lot on these learning series, but let's look at hobbies, for example. Okay, so hobbies is one of the customizable fields. In our instance, at Avidian's instance of Profit, you all have your own at your company, but I wanted to show you that hobbies is just a text field. And if you're entering values into a text field and you want multiple values, a good practice is just do a comma separated values, it's called, but just putting a comma between the hobbies. So this person's into lawn bowling and fashion design. This person's into swimming, dieting, and martial arts. Who is that? Oh, Angelina Jolie. By the way, the data is all fake, just in case you're trying to take a screenshot of her phone number. But anyway, you can have some other things, like you might want to have your own major account assignments and stuff. But in any event, the whole point we're getting at is you can then do advanced filtering on any of these fields. A good one would be one of these, like hobbies. So what if we wanted to find all of the contacts in Hollywood, California, whose hobbies were either, well, let's start with just for whom golf was a hobby. I'm a golfer, so I use that one a lot. Well, it turns out that it's picking up that a lot of these have golf as a hobby, but it does reduce the list down. Maybe I want to do an email blast, or even a little mini campaign out to set up a golf outing or a golf tournament or something, and invite all the CEOs of companies in, Texas or something, or Houston or Hollywood. So we're going to get in a campaign manager here in a moment, but it's really just a useful way to organize. So what I did is I just added one term, golf, but let's clear that filter, and I'll show you how to do an advanced filter. Well, a couple of ways to do advanced filtering. So you could just go in here and check the boxes, but it becomes a little cumbersome because all the combinations. Remember, it's a text field with multiple values. That makes it a little more difficult to filter. But here's what's cool. I can go in here, hover over advanced filters, and of course there's some things like contains, does not contains, equal, not, null. We're going to get into null fields. That'll be fun. Null means empty, by the way. I don't know, it's a software thing. But anyway, missing data kind of a thing. But anyway, let's go into custom. This is fun here. I'm a data geek, so you could probably tell, but when I call a custom filter and data fun, right? But anyway, here's what it brings up. First of all, there are no custom filters, so we're going to create one. And let's create a custom filter for anyone who is interested in whose hobby is either golf or tennis. How about? So I'm going to first add the the filter so that it's the comparator starts with, not enlist, ends with. Let's just say contains. So if the in this case, the contact column there contains golf in the hobby column, I want that filter. Let's add another one. And we're not going to do a group. We're just going to focus on the expression. It's a software thing, but you'll get the idea. Pretty obvious. There's no second filter yet, so let's add one. And let's say, and we're still in the hobbies column. Again, let's just use a contains filter, and let's just type in tennis. The reason I use contains a lot in these filters is that it might be a space, a spell, it's like, some variation in the way the data was put in there. So contains is a pretty good way to do it. But remember that you can also change the type of conditions by changing it from all conditions are true or any conditions are true. So in this case, how about we do, I want anybody that's interested in golf or tennis. Maybe I'm going to do a tennis tournament and a golf tournament on the same weekend. You never know, but you get the idea, I'm sure. So I'm going to click OK. Now you can see all of these have either golf or tennis in them in their hobbies. Pretty cool. Now let's change that filter to be only those people that are interested in golf and tennis. That might be interesting. So why don't we clear that filter, and I'll do another advanced filter. Again, I'm just clicking on the little filter icon, hover over advanced filter, go into custom, same thing we just did. Now, since I cleared the filter, there is no filter, but we're going to say contains golf. We're going to do it the same, but we're going to do an and filter. Oh, that says golf. We're going to add one called an expression. We're going to add a contains. It's going to be called tennis. But this time, we're going to change it so all of the conditions are true. Remember, the other one was any conditions true. So now we have a list of people who are golfers and tennis players in one list, and that would be a pretty cool way to, wow, look at this. We've got, I'm even going to add that current client filter. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, really 4 filters plus a custom filter to create a super defined list. Awesome. What might we do with that? Well, again, you can just use this for outreach, but I'm going to jump to the campaign manager here because it's a new feature. We launched it about 6 months ago or so, been very popular. And what it does is basically it will allow you to create very targeted email blasts, single email occurrences or series of emails for which we use the term campaign to a group of users. Here's one I did for some of our new profit users. Perhaps some of you got this email. But in any event, a campaign has a name, Profit Training Webinar New Users, and it has an audience. In this case, we had 243 users to add, which that was nice, to our campaign invites. And then once you've selected, well, here's the main point I wanted to make about selecting the audience. When you select your audience, you can actually create a campaign, which again is a single email blast or a series of emails to a group of opportunities, contacts, or companies. So if you had that view of all of the golfing CEOs in Hollywood, you can just select that list and add it as your audience, right? Pretty cool. You put a cadence in here, which is the timing. If it was just a single email blast, but maybe you wanted to go out, tomorrow, you put in the time of day that you want it. And by the way, I've been using email marketing platforms for quite some time, and one of the statistical things is pretty cool to know is it's actually useful to send emails in between 5 and 8 a.m. And of course, you think of time zones, which you can also control in your list. But 5:30 to 8:30 is kind of the range I usually use. Give it a date range. In this case, maybe just a single email, and then you're going to put your template in here. So this would be, in my case, the Profit Training webinar template save, and you've created your campaign. It will automatically launch. Cool. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that you can also notice or report on the results of any campaign. You can see I use this a lot. I use it for communicating with our existing clients. I use it for reaching out to potential clients and things like that. But here's one that I executed a few days ago, about a week ago. I want to see the results of this campaign. You can see on top, starts with the delivered. The delivery rate on this campaign was 92.6%. That's actually pretty high. If any of you have had experience using other email marketing platforms, you're going to find it's not uncommon to be down in the 40, 50, 60% range of delivered emails. So I'll get into a little bit more about why the delivery rates are high. Well, I'll just talk about it now. In the Profits Campaign Manager, the emails are actually created inside of your own Outlook profile and sent as an individual email from your profile to the recipient, exactly the same as if you sent them a single email. So we tend to get very high open rates. They're not typically not automatically flagged and things like that. Open rates 18% on this one. You can track click-through rates and things like that. Let me just look at this one that I just did here. Show you some, yeah, so click-through 18%, got 3 replies. 3.7% bounces. Now, the very interesting feature of the Profit Campaign Manager is that it will automatically unsubscribe, take them out of that list after 2 bounces. So that's important, because if you keep, no matter what system you're on, even just your own email, if you keep sending emails to email addresses that bounce, it's a problem. You could get flagged. And by flagged, I mean kind of flagged as potential spam by the recipient or even your own server. The DNC means do not contact. That is a metric of the unsubscribe rate or percentage and number. There is an unsubscribe feature built into the Profit Campaign Manager. So the upside is you tend to get very high delivery rates and thus open and engagement rates like click-through and stuff. The other side of this is because they go through Outlook, your own settings in your IT settings at your own company will have limits on how many emails a user can send a day. It's typically around 1,000. That's one of the settings I've seen a lot of the times, about 1,000 emails per day. But there also might be limits on how many emails you can send an hour and so on. So the limitation of Profit Campaign Manager is primarily how many emails that you're allowed to send a day. I usually send a few hundred per blast per day, sometime up to near 1,000, but I will always keep under 1,000. And then you can break up your list by various criteria, by the name alphabetically, or by the type of contact and so on. But anyway, I'm getting back to the fact that Profit uses all of those lists that you create, a very highly targeted list in Campaign Manager, and the same stuff works in the functions. And I do have a Q&A question I'll get to in just a second here. Well, here's the question. After the initial, if you don't mind, I'll read it. After the initial campaign is executed with the results, will the results continue to update, or if the email is opened by the user? It does continue to update it over time. So if that, and it tends to get more opens and so forth over time. So the question was back in Campaign Manager, to clarify a little bit. So if some more people started to open a particular email campaign or emails from a campaign, you'll see that result will change over time, because that email is still out there. And yeah, these will change over time. They tend to settle down after a couple days, but yeah, you can watch them change. Thanks for that question. I got to tell you that the addition of Campaign Manager to Profit was great, but I'm going to show you something now that is just kind of it took me a little while to just absorb all the functions and features of it. And what I'm getting at is there is a solution, an AI extension to Profit available now that does so many things. I'm just going to start in my email, because it does work with your Outlook email, or actually any email. And it's called the KnowledgeNet extension. So over here on the right, you'll see there's a little extension that you will be enabled if you get this feature, and it has a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to start with this knowledge map. It's a pretty cool thing. This is what really boggled my mind at first. It's like, wow, this shows me how I'm connected to the person that sent me the email, maybe the 10 or 15 or 20 people I interact with that he does too, in this case, at our company, but also all those other people we might interact with. And if I could pick one of those and see how we're connected together, and maybe even get a warm path of introduction to that person, Wow. In fact, you can even find connections through this. That's just a quick view of that. But again, that's called the knowledge map. Powerful thing, powerful new feature. And by the way, how it works is it can see if you've sent emails to or from that person that sent you an email. And look at that, I got emails in here. If you've had meetings, that looks at your calendar. If you've done posts, which is kind of unique thing, but whether you have a contact, visited site, and also very importantly, the LinkedIn activity connections with them. So that's the knowledge map part of it. If you click just here on the info button, or on the profit button rather, you can see you can save this as a profit contact. By the way, you can also, I'm just going to switch over to a different contact. So you can also see when you're on the profit part of it, if you have a contact, it's just going to suggest potential updates to the title, because this is crawling the world. Over 270 million. Now, I think it's over 280 million contacts that it has in the database, and it's dynamic. It grows every day. Recommended updates to phone numbers, recommended updates to, oh, I should probably do that. After all, it's our own product. I'll take its advice. But anyway, we save that. Other thing you can do is you can see documents that have been going back and forth between you and that person. I'm going to stop here on the info for a minute. I know this is a lot to take in, and we haven't even covered other ways to touch this, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to point out a couple things. You can use AI to write an introductory email. I'm going to just do that for the fun of it. So it's looking at our company, Avidian. It's looking at their company, in this case, Ben's company, and it's going to start writing an introductory email. Look at this. Wow. But you know what? It's actually powered by Chat 4.0, Chat GPT 4.0 Turbo. Easy for me to say. So I could do this. I could just say shorten to 100 words. And of course, being that it's AI, it'll know what that means. I'm going to do that so you can see that introductory email content, but it's now shortening it to 100 words. There it is. Wow, pretty cool. All right, so that's one of the little AI functions. You can also snag a personality profile. By the way, whenever you do certain things in this KnowledgeNet, it has a cost. I'll get into that here in a second. But you can click for writing an email. If you go into the company, this is powerful for prospecting. You can do things like find companies similar to this company. And when you click on that website, I'm just going to jump into a website. Let's say that landed on SpaceX. Maybe that's a similar company. So now you've got the similar company. Think of it. These might be your existing clients. What better way to grow your business than to find out what's working and do more of it? Find out the type of clients that buy from you and find more of them. But here's the cool part. Right from a public website, I can do a whole number of things. What I'm going to show you now is just the ability to find contacts from all the contacts, essentially people, employees of SpaceX here. Right here, I can click find contacts. Ooh, I had a few emails to and from that. Interesting. You can see all these contacts from SpaceX, but there's so many. I'm going to open it in a full page. And this is what's mind-boggling. Out of the using the AI capabilities, it found 9,862 employees of SpaceX, and I got their full name, their email. Well, click to unlock. You have to export it or unlock it to get the email address. But you get, even without even for free, essentially, you can see their title, their name, their phone number, and their, a few things like that. The company, of course. But I'm going to add another filter or two. So let's first of all filter it down by only those that are in the U.S. So out of 9,000 some odd, there's a couple hundred fewer in the U.S. I'm going to add another filter. In this case, I like to do, let's do department and job function. Let's just do C-suite. Great way to track. Wow, but down to 15 contacts that are C-suite in that big company. Now that's powerful. Then you can choose to export these. You can do it to profit directly. This is showing how many credits you're using, in this case 20 credits, and I can put them right into profit, adding some custom fields as I go. Boom, they go into profit in the contacts. And I can even create, of course, like we were just talking about, a list of those contacts that are the C-suite contacts at that company that I want to start working with and doing outreach for. Wow. Yeah, you didn't see me, but I just tapped my forehead. Wow, that's awesome. I got to tell you, this is like powerful stuff. So if you think about what we're doing, that was just from an inbound email, but you can also just go to any website. Like if I wanted to go to Pixar, all right, that's a big company. How do I get contacts from Pixar? How about we just use our extension here? It works with any company, very small companies without a lot of, exposure to the world may or may not return results when you go to find contacts and such, but pretty much all the companies I'm looking for does. So again, you can find all the contacts, in this case at Pixar. I could narrow it down by other criteria. I don't want all these animators and stuff. I just want to find, you know, senior leadership, C-suite, done. Wow, narrowed it down to 6 people at Pixar. Cool. So those are some of the things that the AI extension does, and of course, in all cases, you can put it right into Profit. But I'm going to show you another one. Let's go into um, LinkedIn for a second. We have a corporate account, so I'm just going to view as a member. We're in LinkedIn now. Everybody knows what LinkedIn is, and you've probably heard of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So I think you're going to be amazed at what you can do here. I'm going to put in here, search for a person, click on the profile, and this does not have to be a connection of yours. You just found somebody on LinkedIn, and now I can go over here and I could say create a contact from that in Profit, or look at all kinds of other information. But right here I can say save that as a contact in Profit. Wow, all that other stuff. Reveal the phone number, the cell phone number. It will do a search for that. It takes a minute or two. It won't charge you if you don't get the phone number, the cell phone number. But you can, all that kind of stuff we're just looking at from the sidebar of an email is available through a LinkedIn. So the main point of this is you can capture contacts from inbox, from LinkedIn, from searches. And by the way, you can also just do a kind of a global search. You can put in your criteria using AI, find me certain types of contacts in the southern states that are into XYZ. There's a bunch of suggestions there, or you can just create and add those manually. You can save those searches so that you can then export them later or do whatever you want with them. Export them, put them into Profit, look people up. Pretty awesome stuff. So that's the AI part of the discussion today. And I'm going to go back into Profit. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit. It's kind of necessary here. So we're going to go back into Profit, but I wanted to show you that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some things that you can do. One of the things is missing data. So let's talk about switching gears here. I'm going to go into one of my lists here in Profit, and we're gonna think about, it's kind of a counterintuitive thing. We want to find data that's not there. Well, that's actually, I think you'll see it starts to make sense. Let's start with a real simple but important one. Here I am in a list of contacts. Could be any list you have, and you have last name. Oh, I see there's no last name for that. But one of the things you can do is you can search for null value. Okay, null value means no data in that field. And that I have 3 contacts in that one list with no last name. Clearly, I want to correct that problem. So I happen to have looked it up or whatever. I'm going to now add that. Cool. Fix that one. Now let's go into Lisa. Oh, well, I know who that is. Last name Simpson. All right. Better save that one. Getting some real work done here with my, oh, how about this one? Casey. I'm going to have to look that one up. But yeah, I think you get the idea of searching for missing data. And it's a great thing to do for contacts, because it just always bothered me whenever I'd see contacts with no last name. I mean, Bill. Okay, great. Let's clear that though. And another one could be a very important field that you might want, that you always have, like type of contact. Well, again, let's search for, well, first of all, you can search for, you know, values that are their current client or something, but I'll clear that, and I'm going to search again for null value. Great. Now, one of the things you might want to do is export that list to Excel and send it to your team and say, please go out and research and find out what types of contacts these are, or fill in the last name. By the way, the export to Excel is this green button. I do want to mention that it is permission-based, meaning that it might be grayed out. If it is, your profit administrator can change that. Soon we will be saying your Avid CRM administrator will be doing that, because we've changed our name and branding, as I mentioned earlier. But you can export all rows or various subsets of that, selected rows, and then that will become just an Excel file that, in this case, look, you send this off to your sales team and say, please fill in their, type of contact. Missing data. Good stuff. I'm a data geek, so I think it's great. Good stuff there. And so the idea of finding missing data is very important. We're going to switch a little and kind of wrap up by talking about some of these functions as it relates to your sales pipeline management. Some of the things we've already talked about and learned today. So for example, let's say searching for missing data. I'm in my opportunity manager now. Maybe I want to find when that value is null. So if I want to, I could say I want to find all null values on that. So this is where I have no next steps. That's interesting. Let me talk a little bit more about why that might be important. Next step is one of the default fields in Profit. You can actually put your own, your Profit administrator, your Avid CRM administrator can do this. It's kind of like when you go into the new year, January 1st, you keep calling it 2023. It'll take me a couple days to start rebranding my language here. Not Profit CRM. We are now Avid CRM with lots of new capabilities. But anyway, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, here we go. So the next step field, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be, just imagine if all your people that worked with, say, customers or prospects always identified the next step, and when they did, they can create a reminder to do it. It's an automatic feature. So that's what I mean by next step. And clearly in sales, that's a very important thing, but it could be important in any job function. So again, if you can look for where next step fields, if that's an important thing. But you can also, in Profit, your administrator can and probably has at your company made certain fields required. So if you're an admin on this call, you know what I'm talking about, a Avid CRM administrator. But that means maybe you always need to put in the stage, or always need to put in an estimated close date, or always have to have at least a description. That's actually one of our required fields here. So the required fields is another concept which it's kind of a dual-edged sword. It helps get better data, but if you get too carried away with it, it also can be a deterrent in terms of adoption. And of course, we pride ourselves in overall having really good adoption rates, and that's our whole claim to fame, is ease of use built into Outlook, that sort of thing. But it's still, even in our company, something we always are attentive to and want to help continue to improve for all of you folks out there. Another change that has been recently updated and enhanced is in the company records, in the company data management, you can have required fields there as well. So you might have certain fields required in the that you want to be mandatory in the company record. Good example would be maybe, I don't know, maybe it's type of company. It's one of our fields, right? That might be a required field, or any other fields can now be made required through the ProfitOnDemand.com administrator portal. If you're an admin, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I wanted to mention one other feature, which just kind of goes to a little more advanced training here. But in the company manager, and it's also available in Contact Manager, you can add a field by just using your column chooser called Has Opportunity, and it's a yes/no field. I think you'll get why that's important, but all that really means is that I can see at a glance whether or not that account has any opportunities associated with it. So I'll just highlight the one that shows yes, and you'll see down at the bottom underneath that account, there's 3 opportunities associated with that one. But I might want to do a filter, say, for only those companies, or if you call them accounts, fine, that have opportunities. Now that's an interesting list. That would imply you've either done business with them or trying to do business with them. What a great list that would make in Campaign Manager, right? Great. Oh, and one other quick thing is, and as we wrap up here, I wanted to just address the new Outlook button that I'm sure many of you have seen. I want to tell you what, where we're at on that. So in Outlook itself, you will have you might start seeing, and many of you have already seen it, a button that says try the new Outlook up here in the upper right. You can do it, but it just dumbs down Outlook dramatically and takes away almost all of your features up here, including profit. So for now, you just leave that off, or if you want to look at it, you can just go back, just a little slider there. But what we're doing right now is we've been in development of this for quite some time, is we want a very we want to create and are creating a solution that will work with the new Outlook. And in fact, that's going to launch a version of Profit, or enable a version of Profit, that will also be available as a, web based version of Profit. So you'll see Avid CRM now as a web-based version will work with the new Outlook and have that high degree of integration, and also just open it up to a lot of different platforms. But that's on the future. That's on the horizon. So stay tuned for that. And I'm glad I've got had the opportunity to share all this with you folks. I know we've reached the scheduled end of the meeting here. But please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or just contact your account manager or customer success. And any other questions that I haven't gotten into, feel free to just reach out to me or your account manager or customer success, and we'll help you out. That's it for today. You all take care and have a great day.